Do you own a gun? Why or why not? I don't own any operable guns, or in any case have no ammunition for them, but have a couple Civil War WW1 relics and a Mauser rifle from World War II. Would love to see the Civil War and World War I guns if possible. That's pretty cool. All of mine are hunting related and my oldest is 1905, but it's just a cheap single shot shotgun. I had an old college roommate who was here, Canada, from Japan. He would frequently go to the gun range to practice shooting multiple pistols and shotguns. He was an absolute fanatic with these. He wanted citizenship, or permanent residence. I can't recall which is needed to own here, so badly so he could own his own. On top of staying here to live, eventually getting citizenship, he got his first pistol, very quickly a second, and eventually a shotgun. He loved cleaning them and disassembling them. He routinely went to the range to practice shooting. The idea is, he just loves the activity of gun range shooting, becoming accurate in the art of a well-designed machine like a gun can be. Some people just like guns and to shoot them at paper targets. I would like to also say, he was open and honest with his passion, so it wasn't ever a worry of mine or make me question. When I went to the range with him, it was clear how focused he was with the intricacies and rules of safe gun use. Japanese people often love guns. They make such faithful airsoft replicas. I heard of a Japanese competitive shooter who apparently practiced with airsoft due to not being able to own a handgun and didn't fire a real handgun until he got to the competition and did really well. My friend was big into airsoft, so I took him to fire a real gun and he did really well. I have a glue gun, a silicone gun and a staple gun. Really saving up for a nail gun this year, hoping Santa will be good to me. I have a heat gun gathering dust in the shed if you're in the market. Yes, because I live in Chicago on the south side. We've had over 1,100 murders this year and countless carjackings. I drive a sought after and often stolen car, so I keep one to have a slightly better chance of not becoming one of those statistics. No, I don't. For the simple reason that owning a gun is illegal in my country. I never touched one or seen a real one. And I think this is the case for most of the citizens of my country, and I think this will not ever happen. Same. Only real guns I ever saw were the rifles the army lads carried when they escorted the money van to the bank, and I'm pretty sure those weren't loaded. Police here are not permitted to carry guns either, lol. Remington 3006. Inherited from my grandfather. I'm not a hunter like he was, but I take it out for a cleaning every so often. I keep meaning to buy a 12 gauge for just in case moments, but I keep not doing it since shells are scarce around here. I do own a handgun. I'm a black man in Alabama and I purchased mine in response to everyone else arming up. I'm planning on also getting a shotgun for my household soon. But besides that, I also deal with depression and suicidal thoughts and ideation. I feel like over the past couple of years I've done a lot to overcome this, so purchasing a gun was me trusting myself as well. I want to own a gun, but I'm currently going through a bout of depression, so I'm going to wait till I'm in a better mindset. I am 99.999% sure I won't do anything, but right now I don't trust myself enough. Well, I am Norwegian. So of course I have a closet full. Everything from Glock 17 and 1911 to HK91 and R15. I own them because I just like guns. But I also do a little competition shooting in IPSC for fun, and I hunt for meat every year. My Norwegian father-in-law sold his house in Bretesens. A few months later he got a letter, stateside, asking him where his 1911 went after the sale of the house. I believe the gun was issued to him in the military in the 50s. That's some record keeping. No, I don't, but I'm not against gun ownership. Only gun owners who don't practice safe gun handling. I used to go shooting as a young fella living on a farm, but it's a bit more of a hassle and more expensive owning a gun these days in South Australia. I was taught by my dad to use guns as tools for pest control, hunting for food and animal euthanasia, so my perspective isn't from enjoying it as a hobby or sport. I don't have the desire or finances to own a gun for hunting or a hobby these days, and live in the city. Apart from buying a decent gun and licensing fees, there's the cost of ammo, a decent gun safe, then range fees or finding someone who will let you go shooting on their property. European. More guns than fingers. I do competitive shooting, reservist exercises, and just like guns in general, I spend a great deal of time trying to learn more about them. Also, it's good to have them against zombies and Russians. One of those things has happened here before. Weirdly, I lost them all in a boating accident. Tragic. Make sure the ATF knows so they don't misinterpret all of your thread adapters and oil filters. Number. Not legal unless you go through loads of paperwork in my country. Also don't have money to support such expensive hobby in a pretty much safe country. Yes, shooting is fun, and as a single woman it makes me feel safe. When I bought it I took a gun safety course where they taught me the proper way to use it and clean it, and we had target time, too. I own 7 firearms total. That may sound like a lot to some people but it's not. All of these firearms are chambered in different calibers, gauges, long guns, pistols, and have different actions. The reason why? It's honestly just fun to blow a day at the range with my friends. It's honestly just fun expensive to blow a day at the range with my friends. FTFY, all my homies hate rising ammunition costs. My wife asked why I carry a gun in the house. I told her Decepticons. She laughed. I laughed. The toaster laughed. I shot the toaster. Freaking toaster. 5 feet 4 inches Korean American girl living in Indiana. I just like to pew pew at the range for fun. Not interested in getting a concealed carry permit. Shooting sports is indeed fun. I think that everyone should try shooting a gun at a range at least once, just to see for oneself what it's really all about, even if that person is extremely against guns. It will demystify it for a lot of people. Yes, more than I need. It's a hobby and competition sport. From black powder weapons till modern weapons, pistols, revolver, rifle, shotguns and cannon. They are registered by law in my country and I'm licensed hunter and sport shooter. I know some guys who shoot black powder rifles. I can't imagine what cannon people are like. I bet they like scotch. Yes, I own them for self-defense, hunting and general fun. They're absolutely fascinating from an engineering standpoint. Yup, but my family hunts. I'm 13. I was taught gun safety and how to shoot at a range by my dad and grandpa. We'd go shooting as family. It was my dad's hunting rifle when he was a kid and he gave it to me. It's locked up till we go camping and hunting. If we tag a deer it helps feed us all winter long. There's venison stew, venison chili, venison burgers, venison tacos, venison meatballs. You should be reading this in Bubba's voice. I recently made some venison curry with the backstraps and tenderloins. You should add it to the list if your family likes some spice. Number. I wish I could, but I also know that I am at high risk of killing myself with it, so maybe once I sort my mental health out. Thank you for being responsible. Some people get water hung up on their ego. My father-in-law wants a gun but he's bipolar and stopped using his medicine some years ago and his mood fluctuates wildly. His ego won't take no, but the gun shops certainly have said no to him at least. Yes, because I used to live in a major city with a high number of home invasion robberies even in the nice neighborhood where I lived. I don't. And it's not that easy to get a license if you live in the UK, but every time I've been able to go shooting, I've loved it. I can see why people would want one. The police cannot always be relied on. I do a lot of solo backpacking trips in the mountains. I've never had to use it, but should deterrence fail and a predator, be it an animal or a person, murders are not unheard of in the backcountry, attacks me, I wanna be able to take it down before it gets too close. Had to deal with a stalker so I got one. Now he won't break in my place, so that's a win. The high gun ownership rate around here has really cut down home burglaries too. We own several at my house. My husband slept in front of the front door during the looting after Hurricane Katrina came through South Louisiana in 2005. People were burning crap down, looting stores, houses, etc. There were no police to call. This went on for over 2 weeks after. We won't ever be without more than one for home defense. I also have a handgun I carry with me because I stand no chance against any aggressor without one. I do. I don't disclose exactly how many, but it's nearly triple digits and at one point was over triple digits. Why? I'm a collector. Mosin Nagans. Mausers and SKS rifles make up the bulk of my collection. I do have a few modern firearms as well, but the vast majority were produced no later than the mid-60s. Technically, my dad does, so does my brother, and I will probably in a few years. Germany has quite strict rules on ownership and we only use small calibers anyway. Live in a pretty rural area but have to travel to a large city known for a high crime rate. Keep some for hunting for food, some for defense when I have to go to the city, and some for at home because the nearest cops are 30 minutes away at best and I have no neighbors within miles of me, so if something bad happens, either an animal or a person attack, I'm sole. I've had my FOID card for about 3 years now. Still haven't gotten around to purchasing a firearm yet. Eventually I will. I mean, getting the FOID now takes about 3 years. Nope. I have an autistic son who is really good at getting into crap he's not supposed to. For the bonus round, I'm clinically depressed, so heck no, I'm not putting an easy out within my reach. I have a MG34 machine gun, a M50 Madsen machine gun, a 60mm mortar, and a few other things. I got the mortar before I could legally buy a handgun from a dealer. I actually just got my 08 FFL. Why? Because I enjoy it. It's really cool to be able to touch historical firearms and even use them. Plus it's my autistic special interest, lol. Yes, I have 7 guns, mostly because shooting is fun and very relaxing. I also enjoy engineering and history that goes with guns. And last but not least, self-defense, because it's my right and crap happens even in countries as safe as the Czech Republic. I was watching on YouTube some videos of animations of how various guns work, as seen from the inside of the mechanisms. Regardless of stance on the issue of gun ownership, one can't help but marvel at the engineering and design that goes into them. Yeah, we have a family gun. We use it to kill rattlesnakes in the summer because no one wants to get close enough to kill a snake with a shovel. We're huge animal lovers here, but rattlesnakes are the one and only exception. We get around 5 a year very close to the house and they'll go after our dogs. I do not. I don't like the idea of having one. Also, my mental health is not so good, and I'm afraid PF what would happen if my suicidal thoughts get too loud if I did own a gun. I used to own guns when I was young, strong, and could roam the hills hunting. I live in an area where a nearly 70-year-old man has never locked his door. I simply do not need guns any longer. I do. It was 2 events that triggered it. One time a mass shooting panicked and happened and I had basically run for my life from an event we all thought was real. I started thinking hard about getting one then. Then during the riots of 2020 some rioters burned down not my dad's friend's business but his house. They were lucky that they were out at a friend's at the time with his 2 kids. After that event, the very next day we signed up for a class on how to be safe with guns. The next month we were responsible gun owners. Yes, several. I have concealed weapons permit, CCW, and carry a firearm concealed every day. I decided to get a CCW when my son was born. I was involved in an altercation with a person under the influence of M while holding my infant son. I couldn't run away nor could I fight. I was basically shielding his body with mine, hoping the guy would eventually go away. Calling the cops did nothing. It rarely does. And I am not interested in finding out if I am a better fighter than the guy attaching me. I do not, because I'm extremely paranoid about freaking up with one and hurting myself or someone else. My friend let me hold his gun once and I don't think I held it for longer than like 5 seconds before I made him take it from me. No freaking thank you. That being said, I wouldn't say no to some training to familiarize myself with using one should the need ever arise. Maybe then I'd feel more comfortable with the idea of owning one. I think the discomfort comes from a lack of training and experience. Like you said, if you have any interest, I think letting your friend teach you to handle and shoot is a great idea, so long as you trust that he's a qualified teacher. In my experience, the anxiety goes away after people understand how guns work, and after they see how fun they can be. No, and I have argued against it with my husband too. I am supportive of responsible gun ownership, but the risk of suicide increases dramatically just with having a gun in the home. In the last year I have experienced a lot of trauma and my husband fights depression. It is not worth the risk. Yes, my ex-wife always told me I wasn't allowed to own one. Soon as we were divorced, I went out and bought me a revolver and a range membership. Yes, 22 rifle that belongs to my son. A 32 long from grandpa. Glock 9mm in car. 357 next to bed. Wife has a Walther 22 and a 38 she keeps in the car. I also have my father's 1911. Sweet gun. We all have CCs. Yes, I believe that while law enforcement can respond to a crime in progress, in the end it's my responsibility to ensure my safety and the safety of my household. Belgian. I do not own a gun. If I want to shoot guns, I can go to a shooting range. Done it a couple times, great fun. There are precisely 0 reasons for me, or anyone around me, to own a gun. We do not have dangerous wildlife. We do not have large open spaces. We do not have much violent crime. Statistically, we have never been as safe as we are today. I strongly believe adding guns to society would have an adverse effect on that general level of safety. At the same time, I acknowledge circumstances are different in other countries. I understand why people do have guns. I understand they can be a sport, or a hobby, or they make you feel safe in a society that is either inherently unsafe, or makes you feel like it. I feel very happy and blessed that I do not live in such a society. I suspect that even if guns were widely owned in Belgium, you still wouldn't see much gun crime due to the culture of your country as you've outlined. Look at all the Swedes and Norwegians in this thread that apparently own a lot of guns. I have always owned at least 2 or 3 at any time. I grew up around them, handled them almost every day for years, and did lots of shooting as a late teen. My dad took me shooting for the first time when I was 9. In short, they are just part of life for me. I've never accidentally shot anyone, and have only had 1 ND, while pointing down range. There's no reason not to, if you can. They're fun, they smell good, burn gunpowder, they're wonders of mechanical engineering, you can hunt with them, protect yourself, your family etc. Why not own one? I own firearms because I don't trust my government or police to actually protect me. The police are a reactionary force and when seconds count they're minutes away. I realize this is an unpopular opinion but I went through the process in order to not only get my license to carry but also my certifications to become an instructor. In order to get my license to carry I had to attend a firearms safety course, qualified with live fire training. Submitted an application with fingerprints to my local PD and both my local PD and the federal government checked my background and my record is spotless. I submit to background checks each and every time I purchase a firearm and I have more than proven that I am a citizen in good standing. I spent some time as a pistol instructor in my state and was able to qualify people to go for their licenses. No, I don't know how. I live in Australia and we have pretty strict gun laws as far as I know. I have always wanted to have a try of a gun but I don't think it's necessary for me to own one. I live in suburbia, and we don't have any huge, wild animals or anything I need to shoot. I also feel like even if I had it for self-defense or something I wouldn't even have the guts to shoot it at someone tbh. That's interesting. I also live in suburbia and am getting a camper ready to go into the wild for some hunting. My kid wants to go. Feels adventurous. Might be boring. We'll see. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.